And the purpose of the gathering is very simple. Very simple, could be summarized in just few words. And nothing has changed. Very little has changed since the time and the very term which exists in Indian subcontinent. Satsang, or Darshan, whatever we may call it. Gathering, in other words. We can of course find appropriate translations and we can go into the terms more specifically. Sat, Sangha. Sat, Sang, right? It's in the company of truth, in the presence of truth. Sat is truth. That was also stand for that composition of the Sat Chitananda, that very, very essence, indestructible, permanent, omniscient, omnipresent quality of your own awareness. And Sangha, getting together. So in other words, getting together in truth. That's one of the definitions of satsang. Being in the presence of truth. Darshan, slightly different sound to it, but essentially it's the same thing, just the perspective is slightly different. It's beholding. It's to see. It's to behold. It's to be able to perceive. Perceive what? In a way, the term darshan simply means beholding one's own truth that has been reflected back. That's as simple as that. It's not just going and looking at a magnificent Mahasamadhi of a great saint. You can have a darshan of an amazing sculpture, of an amazing work of art, statue. You can have a darshan of any being. You can have a tree as a darshan, as long as your truth is reflected back to you. That's what the term is. As long as you're able to perceive, even for a moment, for a fraction of a moment, that what you are. That's by definition what darshan is. And gathering is another term. It's a good English term. I like it very much. It has that slight kind of tribal, less defined feel to it. Like all early Sufi, they only just that. They gathered, just got together, gathered. Why did I say that nothing has changed and since the time immemorial? Nothing has changed in a sense what these gatherings were for. These gatherings were for beholding that what is worthy beholding. It's essentially to bring forth, to reinforce that what our purpose here as Word becoming flesh. In other words, incarnated consciousness embodied in a human body. The languages have changed, styles have changed, costumes have changed, dialects have changed. More scriptures were revealed, more books were written. Civilization was more advanced, less advanced, reached its zenith, went down the hill. Makes no difference. Darshan, satsang, gathering is irrespective of the time we live in. It's irrespective of what is the current climate. It's irrespective of what occupations we have, irrespective of our jobs, held professions, secretly held aspirations, or not so secretly. It's just that. It's for a moment to gather in the name of that which is our essence, our truth. And one may protest that truth is relative, and that is true. Truth is relative to the one for whom that truth is. There is no such thing. One thing is true for one person, that's not necessarily the truth for another person. And yet the term sat here represents not the truth of one individual in relation to another, It represents the truth which transcends any concept, any idea, any preconceived or conceived idea, any even a religion, creed, or order, or philosophy, any held system. That's what satsang is for. That's what, by definition, that's what these gatherings are for. And very little has changed through the long corridor of time. Very little. So in other words, this is as a kind of as an opening, if you will, that no need to reinvent the wheel. Nothing that I will be speaking here, or nothing that will be shared here, that you do not know. Nothing that you do not know already deep in your being, deep down in your, at the very core of your being, this truth is known to everyone, irrespective of where they are in life. It makes no difference. However, that being said, and despite the fact that this truth is imperishable, and no amount of true knowledge or some kind of temporal knowledge of passing phenomena, that truth cannot be concealed, it cannot be covered. So the essence of spiritual path is not so much in gaining, but in simply uncovering that which is already there. And that's what Darshan, successful satsang is that. It's to peel the layer, to remove yet another layer, so that the truth can shine forth on its own. The truth can shine forth. That truth is not something we hold. It's not something we even need to remember. That truth by definition is given. It is the very core of our being. Remembrance here is in a different way. It's in relation to recognition. It's to recognize what we are, beyond form and appearance, or even held precepts and concepts, even be they the most amazingly wise and revelatory in nature. The revelation of the truth of the self as the light of the sun makes all other lights pale in comparison. So this is what the truth of the self is. It absolutely flushes, it bleaches and outshines anything that we can bring in to try to essentially make our life somehow better, because we think that this knowledge or that knowledge is somehow going to make our life more happily lived.